Engine back. Welcome back to the Engine Performance Expo.
Wow, you actually can stumble.
I
didn't know it was possible.
It does happen, but I hate it when it does.
That'd be like George losing a race.
Yes, exactly. We were just George.
Stepping the throttle at the starting line.
You know what? I want to let everybody behind the scenes. George and I were just having a conversation about exactly this.
I am so sorry.
You jinxed him.
Because he told me I hate it when I stumble, and you stumbled right then.
I had never even thought of stumbling.
So
he got in your head, John.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it. He said it.
You know,
it's like a red light. Let's move beyond it, guys. We're just going to move past it. Now, this is an interesting roundtable because we talk about all of these, jobs and product spotlights and everything that we're all into. This passion, Chuck, obviously with the AERA, but none of it works without the most important aspect, which is the people that are doing it, and the next generation of young people. We got a couple of them in the shop here. You can be passionate about it, but where do you go with your career? Where do you go to advance? You need to make a living. You need to earn money. You need to eventually, if you have a family, like all of these things. Sometimes, chasing your passion, you might think it's irresponsible because am I going to be able to pay for life, take care of my parents? Who knows what it is? But there are many different journeys to go on, paths to choose. Scooter, you were just telling me yesterday you love building the team. You love building the team. And so we're going to spend some time on that here on the roundtable. For folks out there, if you've got a young person or is looking to get involved in the economy, whether it be racing or otherwise, you're going to want to pay attention to this one. So let's start with Scooter a little bit. When you're building those teams, what do you look for? And when you put people that are young in the industry on the journey, like explain that a little bit more.
When I look for people to join my team, I look for the head, the hands, and the heart. The head is certainly what they know. They have to know a certain amount. The hands is what they can do. The heart's where you have to concentrate. If a young person out there thinks they want to be in our industry or whatever, it could be a cook or it doesn't make any difference what they decide they want to do. But they have to have the passion for it. They have to have the heart for it. And if you have the heart, then you give up everything else in your life to go for that heart and spend that period of time learning and doing and being good at it and devoting yourself to that passion that you have. And if the young person can indicate to a team that they want to be on, that they have that passion and that heart, the team will take them in and the team will teach them and let them learn. But they have to have the heart and the passion and the drive, and that only comes from within them.
Tough to teach that, though.
Can't teach it. They have to just have it.
The want to.
They have to have the want to.
Yesterday we talked about what made us different, being racers and winners, and the determination and where did it come from. And that's really a tough question because I never remember anything other than that. And our team, just like Scooter said, over the 40-something years of star racing, we had probably 100 different people have come through there to work and learn how to work with us and how to do the work we do. And when they would leave me and go to a competitor or go start their own place, I used to really get my feelings hurt. It would give me an attitude about, I got to quit sharing everything. I got to quit telling everything. But what I realized that Jackie and I at Star Racing, we became a stepping stone for our industry because a really great racer would come spend time with us and then move on to a team that gave them a different opportunity. A mechanic or a crew chief or a welder or a machinist would come through and learn how to win and how to build really big horsepower and do things that you couldn't do other places, and then they would move on. So I felt like we were like just Pro Stock University. That's how I felt for a long time when that many people came through there. And now at my retirement age, I do Tech Talk Tuesday every Tuesday at 6 o'clock Eastern, and my goal is to continue that same path that I was doing when I was in my store trying to make a living, trying to pay my bills, and I'm still trying to share those things to people that have the passion and they're interested and they want to tune in and they want to try and grab it. And that is the only reason I'm here right now, is so that we can get this group together that's into trying to educate our youth and our future and create an opportunity for others to work in this industry.
That's why I wanted you to be here.
Thank you.
is because Tech Talk Tuesday is wonderful. I mean, I watch them all the time and learn things, and that's part of the idea of this roundtable is that there are so many places and opportunities now to gain knowledge. I mean, Chuck, at AERA, you guys offer all kinds of, the webinars you guys have, the magazine. I mean, speak to a minute about the different resources for education that are available through AERA. We keep on saying young people, and that's great, but there are also people that maybe they're a little bit older that decided they want to do a career change, and they like going fast. They like horsepower.
Great point.
You're never too learned or begin to learn something different, or never too old to learn something different to make a change.
Right.
So I think.
Yeah, absolutely. The engine machinist certification program that we currently offer, we're actually bolstering that up some more. We have about 75 schools that are involved in the administration of it. We have from high school levels to people that want more credentials for their shop. Some of the production engine rebuilders, that's their growing methodology. Okay, you ask for more money, but we ask that you show that you're making yourself more valuable too.
Right.
So if you can seek more credentials, then it makes you more valuable.
Yeah.
But to go back to what Scooter was saying about the heart, Cass was talking about in the past couple of days, he mentioned the scripture. He's like, are you on the work or in the work? If your heart's in it, you're going to, proceed much further. And trying to portray ourselves or exude something of our industry that is exhilarating, even if it's the heavy duty stuff. This is high performance, but there's performances in different areas, like the big giant heavy duty diesel stuff. Mitchell was talking about, he ran across the video and there's this, he goes, it had like 1 million views of this big diesel engine chugging and smoking and puking, but it ultimately starts up. And they're like, that sends you down a rabbit hole. Why did it smoke? Why was that white smoke there? Well, and you think about the diesel and, okay, the compression of the air is what makes the air temperature 400 degrees, but the thing's freezing cold, so it's sucking that energy out of it. So I got to compress more, and it gets it back up. And finally, the diesel fuel that's petroleum jelly at the moment turns into something that'll flow. And finally, there's enough heat in the cylinder, boom, and it lights up. And like, wow, I think I might want to be there someday in that world. That's pretty neat stuff. So I think it takes all of this, in the bits of education. So, Tech Talk Tuesday, I love it. The EFI group, we fire messages afterwards, it's just a flurry.
And during, right? Well, that's another great resource, right? From what you have at AERA, what you do with Tech Talk Tuesday, to what you're doing with EFI University, from the hands-on classes to the Delta Lander group as well.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I always looked at it as though, I really like what you said about being sort of a breeding ground, right? Like you had this ability of people to come and learn stuff, whether they knew they were doing it or not. They probably started with you thinking, this is the greatest thing in the world, I get to work on this, but somewhere along the way, some other opportunity came along. When I first started this, and I'm kind of proud to say that EFI University is going to be 20 years old this year. That's 20, thank you. 20 years of just teaching people exactly about engines and fuel injection. When I first started, there was a whole bunch of racers that didn't like to share information, that kind of warned me and said, you're gonna teach yourself right out of business. And I said, no, I'm never going to have that. As long as we have another group of 16-year-old kids that get their license and find out how fun it is to do a burnout, they're going to want to do more, right? So, Scooter, when you talk about the heads, the hand, and the heart, it's hard to teach. I don't have any curriculum you can sign up for how to make me passionate, right? Like, you show up with that part. We can help you on the head part. Hopefully mom and dad have helped you with the hands part. You're willing to get in and do the work. But I was never afraid that if I shared too much, they were going to run away with it and put me out of business or anything like that. I always felt like there's enough market that I'm always going to have somebody that's curious, and I'm the first customer of EFI University. I built the school that I wanted to go to. My job, I'd say this all the time, is that unless there's an actual class happening at the moment, my job at EFI University is to make sure that I'm learning. So we have an entire research and development facility. We do contract testing for other people. some of that so we can have revenue, but largely I gotta teach the things that I most want to learn about.
Stay in front.
So that we can stay up in front and give somebody a reason to come to our class, And so whether that's an adult looking to change careers, whether that's a kid just out of high school, our programs are kind of unique in that we're not the traditional, 18-month or, semester-based kind of training. We're very, what I like to call a la carte. So you can pick a subject you're really interested in and come and go, boom, for 3 days, 5 days, whatever, drink out of the fire hose and really stay focused, and then go home and put it right into work, right? But after all these years, what has it been, about a year and a half now? It's not 2 years yet, about a year and a half, I guess, or something like that. I don't know. I had this idea, somewhat from COVID, that the only complaint that I ever get about my school is people go, well, I wish I didn't have to go home. It stinks that I came here and I realized how much there is to do and learn. I can't absorb it all in just these few short days, but man, I wish there was a better way and I didn't have to go home. And so we started our fraternity, and George is there and Chuck, you're in there, and man, I was really proud of it. We were sitting at a table and I started looking around the table. I'm like, of the 9 or 10 people around this table, 8 of them are Delta Lambda fraternity members. And so really all that fraternity is a way for us to stay connected to each other and a way for people to still get education but not have to leave wherever they live in New York, Kentucky, Florida, whatever, and go all the way to Arizona. And nobody ever really complains to me about how much our classes cost. Maybe only in the beginning when they swipe the card, but by the time they're done, they usually go, yeah, exactly, till the wife finds out. But by the time they're done with the course, they go, gosh, I would have paid twice as much if I would have known how good it was going to be. Yeah. But normally I just can't get away. And so when you have adults that, Joe, you said they have car payments and rent or mortgages. Man,
volleyball games on Saturday.
Volleyball games on Saturdays, exactly. Yeah. It's hard for them to get away. Jason's a perfect example. Yeah. Jason Lyon and I were talking last week, and he was saying, man, I want to come to your class. And I said, I'll quit it. And he goes, no, really? I'm sure that no matter what, if I sat there's something I'm going to get out of it. And he goes, what's way more difficult for me than coming up with the dollars to pay for it is, man, where do I find a week to just get away and stop working? And so that challenge, the way that we kind of tried to approach that was with our fraternity, where George does Tech Talk Tuesdays, and then he hangs that up and he comes over on Wednesday nights, and we do an online, basically, discussion group, and we have videos that we do every week. And so it's been an amazing resource, to be honest. It has far exceeded my expectations for what we would get out of the group. I said in the beginning that I wanted to learn as much from the members of the group as they learn from me, and that's overwhelmingly been successful.
It's great how much we do get to learn, even if we're kind of part of it, of the structure of it. Just getting so much feedback from the rest of the members, we get to learn a lot. And I was also pretty proud to see how many people you have here that are involved in that. And also I noticed that talking about this pathway, as the friends that I have at this table right here, made me smile a minute ago. I was sitting here thinking about how much of an impact everybody's had on my career along the way, and man, that's such an advantage to have. And I want to tell you thank you.
Let's talk about, we got a couple minutes left, but just like some what I would call concrete steps to achieve, right? Like we keep saying young people, but you're right. Like a veteran who's been in for 10 years and they come out and now they're a go-getter, and they come out into the world. You see a help wanted sign everywhere. Why aren't those jobs being filled? Well, because people only want to invest their life, which is so meaningful now, in something that they really want to do, care about, and I think everybody here has got that. So this is clearly, if you're into cars, if you're into engines, if you want to do a burnout, all of those things, if you appreciate that, this is a worthy area, an area that needs it. But what are some like concrete steps that someone that is interested can do that can help them advance in any one of these fields? Example, like write down what you're capable of, create a resume. If you follow where I'm going on that, for people who are watching this, maybe clip it and forward it to someone like, hey man, follow these steps, and go to your local machine shop and say, hey, I'm willing to push a broom for 6 months to learn some stuff. You got any insight, Chuck?
Yeah, I mean, you can shoot me an email at chuck@aera.org.
Yeah, Chuck's just like, I'll hire you, send me an email. Right?
We have the Engine Rebuilders Educational Foundation, and so we're trying to work with shops, schools, to help stimulate that educational path. So if you think that you want to enter this space, there's definitely support. Since I've been here, we've had some ideas about even trying to bolster that further. We're looking at even a deeper push into the schools. So, I mean, there's those avenues. Again, if you have the interest, of course, we're trying to get into the high school level now.
Yeah.
And like there's things like Project Lead the Way that's in my area that we've interjected into, and it's so there's those things. I think that's what scares people off a lot is there something to help get me going? And I think we definitely have that with certification, with the foundation to help support the cost of. So, I mean, we can get you headed down the right path almost at no cost to you.
I would say probably the most important thing, I think all the way back to however many years ago, and there was a guy named Dave Arcee, who you guys all know. He was the guy that actually gave me my first shot, and it wasn't because of my resume. And so when you think about like, oh, what's it take to get in? It wasn't because I knew all this stuff. What's way more important than your resume is your readiness. You've got to go over there and knock on that door and say, hey, I'll do the work, right? And then what happens is if you start out with the readiness and you get that foot in the door, you'll get the resume. But you know what's way more important is the resume is the relationships. So those 3 R's, right? The readiness, the resume, and then finally the relationships. You talk about all the people in this building that came here this week are all because of relationships. We've agreed to come together. We may have raced each other at some point and been bitter rivals or whatever, but everybody here is here because out of a lack of selfishness, right? Every single person that I've seen in the building this week is saying, I'm willing to give because somebody else that I have a relationship with asked me, are you willing to help build this industry, grow this industry, attract people to it? So, it's way less about the resume than it is just the readiness to roll up your sleeves and get to work.
George?
That's good. I agree. My first try, I know we got to wrap up, but I was going to say going to that machine shop is what I did. And I aggravated them. They didn't run me off. I kept making me work harder. I learned really fast, and I was very fortunate to get my foot in the door that way. So I was the readiness guy.
That's what it takes.
And I was going to say the same thing is to this person that wants to get involved is be visible. If you want to work on a race team, go hang with race teams. Go be at a machine shop. Go be visible around whatever you want to do, and it'll work its way out. You'll find your way in there.
And the first couple of weeks, they're going to be trying to figure you out.
Heck yeah.
Don't take it personal.
It's the interview.
They're going to try to figure you out. They're not just going to hand over, $50,000 worth of equipment and let you touch it.
Right.
You got to prove yourself.
Unless it's Hartford and he lets you, work on his spacecraft.
I had to prove myself a little bit just to get to that point.
That guy asked me one day, that same guy, he said, can you drive a stick? And I said, yes, and he handed me a broom.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Excellent roundtable. And email Chuck, right? For those of you that are out there. And before we go to the next video, Lake, because we're getting down to the wire with our build engine, both of them, I want to shout out to the sponsors.
Sure.
The people who make it possible. Like, this wouldn't happen without all these people behind the scenes. Thinking about Holly, EFI, and Morel Lifters. We got a great display out there. Straub, of course, who does not own the building, by the way. His tenant here, the AM group owned the building. I was giving him credit. And he is doing a great job. He is a great host. So Valvoline, of course, CWT, Randy Neal, amazing job. Total Seal, Piston Rings. Hartford's got a lot of name checks out there. Rottler. They've got their whole team here.
Yes, they do.
They're running the whole show here. I got to check out all the hits they get, all the sales leads they get. We zoomed in on South Florida, some of the machine shops in South Florida. It was really interesting. Thanks to the folks at Rottler. Get 'em Performance, we just learned a little bit about those guys. Amazing stuff. Edelbrock, Comp Cams, Silver Seal, Goodson, of course. What would a machine shop be without those guys? Of course.
Right.
Mala and Driven Oil.
Right there.
Yes, we got two people, a developer and obviously a captain of industry. Thank you for your support of the Engine Performance Expo. Lake, throw to the next video because you're heavily involved and we're getting down to the meat.
This is Valve Train. So
Can't wait.
we've been trying to make a little more power of the engine, trying to get that RPM turned up. So tune in, watch this thing, and see how high it can go.
What a day, what a day, what a day. My brain is swollen. I've learned so much today. They told us, don't start cars. We are not going to listen.